Hello friends, welcome to the interview preparation session. Today we are working on Python questions. So your first question will be, what is the difference between list and tuples in Python? So it's the most common question that will be asked in your interview. So what is the difference between list and tuples in Python? You can give your answers in the chat box. Okay, so what is the difference between list and tuples? Lists are mutable and they can be edited, right? But when it comes to tuples, tuples are mutable, tuples are immutable, right? So what is the first difference between list and tuples? Lists are mutable, tuples are immutable. Tuples are lists which can't be edited. Okay. What is the next difference? So the next difference is lists are slower than tuples. Okay, so lists are slower than tuples. And when it comes to tuples, tuples are faster than list when we process, right? When we process, tuples are faster than list. And so what about the syntax? So what about the list syntax? So in list, we have different items enclosed in square brackets. In case of tuples, what do we have? In case of tuples, we have the different items as we have in list, but they are enclosed in parentheses. Okay, so these are the major differences between list and tuples. Okay, and the next question is, what are the key features of Python? What are the key features of Python? So Python is a programming language that we use in our data science for building algorithms, right? So what are the key features of Python? So Python is a interpreted language, right? Python is an interpreted language. So this is one of the key feature. And the second one is Python is dynamically typed, right? It's a high level language. And Python is well suited to object-oriented programming in that it allows the definition of classes along with composition and inheritance. So Python does not have access specifiers like we have in C++. So we can say Python is well suited to object-oriented language programming, right? And in Python, functions are first-class objects. This means that they can be assigned to variables, returned from other functions, and passed into functions. So classes are also first-class objects. So in Python, functions are first-class objects. And writing Python code is quick, but running it is often slower than compiled languages. Okay, so Python allows the inclusion of C-based extensions. So here, for example, the NumPy package is a good example of this. It's really quite quick because a lot of number crunching it does isn't actually done by Python. So writing Python code is quick. So this could be one more feature. Okay. So these are different features. There will be many more. So these are very important features that we consider in case of Python. It's an interpreted language. It is dynamically typed. It's a high level language. Object oriented programming will be done. Functions are first class objects. Writing Python code is quick. Okay. So what is the next question? What type of language is Python? Is it a programming language or scripting language? Python is capable of scripting, but in general sense, it is considered as a general purpose programming language. Okay. Python is capable of scripting, but it is considered as general purpose programming language. Okay, so what type of language is Python? Python is capable of scripting, but in general sense, it is considered as programming language. So, Python, yeah, we say that Python is an interpreted language, right? So, how can we explain this? So, we say Python is an interpreted language because an interpreted language is any language which is not in machine level code before runtime, right? So, therefore, Python is an interpreted language. So, what are the benefits of using Python? So, what are the benefits of using Python? So the benefits of using Python are easy to use, right? Python is a high level programming language where that is easy to use, read, write and learn, right? So what is the next benefit of Python? So it is interpreted language. Since Python is interpreted language, it executes the code line by line and stops if an error occurs in any line, right? So how do we run the program in Python? In Python, code will be executed line by line, and if any error occurs, it stops, right? So the next benefit is it is dynamically typed. So in Python, the developer does not assign data types to variables at the time of coding, right? So when we say A is equal to 1, okay, so we do not assign any data type to the value, right? So automatically Python takes it. So it is dynamically typed. So if you want to know the type, we give the function type. And it is free and open source, right? Python is free and open source. So Python is free to use and it is open source. And what do we have in Python? We have extensive support for libraries. Okay. So Python has vast libraries that contain almost any function needed. Any function, we import the required library, right? So it also further provides the facility to import other packages using Python package manager, PIP. So we install other packages by PIP install. So and Python is portable. Why? So Python is portable because Python programs can run on any platform without requiring any change, right? So Python is portable. And the other benefits what we have are the data structures used in Python are user friendly and it provides more functionality with less coding, right? So Python is preferable when compared to other programming languages. So the next question is, what are dictionary and list comprehensions? So the dictionary and list comprehensions are just another concise way to define dictionaries and lists. So what is slicing in Python? So this is another important question. What is slicing in Python? So slicing is used to access parts of sequences like lists, tuples, and strings. Right. So when we do slicing, these sequences like lists, tuples, and strings are accessed. And the syntax of slicing is start and stop. So this is the start index. Start is the start index, and is the end index, and step. How many steps should it forward? The step can be omitted as well, and the start by default start value will be 0, and the step value will be 1. So when we write start end, this returns all the elements of the sequence from the start, right? So if we give only start and end values, so automatically we will have all the elements of the sequence from the start till the end, one element, right? If the start or end element is negative, it means the ith element from the end. So we have reverse indexing also, right? The step indicates the jump or how many elements have to be skipped, right? So this in by default will be 1. So what are keywords in Python? So what are keywords in Python? We have different keywords in Python, right? And we say that our variables should not match these keywords. They are specific to Python. So keywords in Python are reserved, right? Keywords in Python are reserved words that have special meaning. So every keyword has a meaning, and we see that our variables does not match. So they are generally used to define type of variable. So the value what we give. And keywords cannot be used for variable or function names, right? There are many keywords in Python. For example, so and, or, not, if, elif, else, for, these are all keywords we have which we use for different functions and operations. Okay. So the next question is, so how to combine data frames in pandas? So we have seen pandas, right? Pandas is a library. Okay. So the data frames in Python can be combined in the in the following way. So like we have different steps to combine two data frames. So the first step we use concatenating them by stacking data frames vertically. So we can do the concatenation between two data frames vertically, and by stacking data frames horizontally, two data frames horizontally, and combining them on a common column. Okay. So the syntax what we use is pd.concat. So we provide the two data frames that are to be combined. Okay. So this will be your syntax. Okay. And your next question is, how is memory managed in Python? So there are different ways in which the memory is managed in Python. So we have memory management in Python is managed by Python private heap spaces. Okay, all Python objects and data structures are located in Python heap spaces. Okay, and the programmer does not have access to this, so it automatically happens inside the program. The Python interpreter takes care of this instead. Okay, so we do not do anything, but automatically it is taken care by interpreter. And the location of the heap space for Python objects is done by Python memory manager. So we have a Python memory manager in Python. So that takes care of the allocation of heap space. So how much space? So the core API gives access to some tools for the programmers to code. Okay. So in the same way, Python also has an inbuilt garbage collector which recycles all the unused memory, and so that it can be made available to the heap space. Okay. So this is how the memory is managed in Python. Okay. So your next question is Python case sensitive? Is Python case sensitive? Yes, right? Python is Python is case sensitive language. So when you are giving a variable, you can also give the same variable, but so these both are possible, right, in Python, because it is case sensitive. So is indentation required in Python? So do we need indentation in Python? Yes, right? Indentation is necessary in Python. So it specifies a block of code. All code within loops, classes, functions, etc. is specified within an indented block. Okay, only by this it is recognized. It is usually done using 4 space characters. If your code is not indented necessarily, it will not execute and it will throw you an error. Right? So indentation is required. So what is the difference between Python arrays and lists? So what is the difference between Python arrays and lists? So arrays and lists in Python have the same way of storing data, right? But arrays can hold only a single data type elements, whereas lists can hold any data type elements. Okay, so what is the difference between arrays and lists? So arrays are lists in Python that have the same way of storing data, but arrays can hold only a single data type elements, whereas lists can hold any data, any data type elements. So what are functions in Python? So a function is a block. So a function is a block of code which is executed only when it is called, right? To define a Python function, what is the keyword we use? We use def, right? So what are functions in Python? A function is a block of code which is executed only when it is called. So like what are the different functions we have? We have built-in functions and user-defined functions, right? So we have two different types of functions. We have built-in functions and user-defined functions. So built-in functions are already available functions in Python. User-defined functions are defined based on our requirement when we write our logic. So what is lambda function? So what is lambda function? So this is also an important question. So lambda functions are also known as anonymous functions. This function can have any number of parameters but can have just one statement. Okay. So we can use this lambda function any number of times, but it will remain anonymous in your logic. Okay. So right. So what is lambda function? Lambda function is an anonymous function. Okay. And this function can have any number of parameters but can have just one statement. Okay. So your next question is, so we have three different functions. How does break, continue, and pass work? How does break, continue, and pass work? So we know break allows loop termination, right? We can say that. So break allows loop termination when some condition is met and the control is transferred to the next statement. So it stops. Okay. Break helps to stop. And in case of continue, continue allows skipping some part of a loop when some specific condition is met and the control is transferred to the beginning of the loop. Okay. So that is. So in the same way, we have pass function. So what is pass function? So pass function is used when you need some block of code syntactically, but you want to skip its execution. This is basically a null operation. So there will be no operation after that, right? When we provide this. So what are Python iterators? So what are Python iterators? Iterators are objects which can be iterators are objects which can be traversed through or iterated. So how do you write comments in Python? How do we write comments in Python? So in Python, we write comments using hashtag. So when it is a single line comment, we use hashtag. So what about the multi-line comment? If it is a multi-line comment, we use triple quotations. Okay, so how do we write comments in Python? We write comments by starting with hashtag. Okay. So whatever line you write and which starts with hashtag is a comment. So how will you capitalize the first letter of string? So what is the function we have? So how will you capitalize the first letter of string? We have a function, right? We use a function to do this operation. So what is the function? So we use capitalize function. We use capitalize function. Okay, method that capitalizes the first letter of a string. Okay, if the string already consists of a capital letter at the beginning, then it returns the original string. Okay, so it will be same. So what is the function we are using here? We are using capitalize function. Okay. So yeah, I think I said this earlier. How to comment multiple lines in Python? So we have seen this single line comment. We use hashtag at the beginning, right? So what do we do if we have a multi lines in Python? We have to comment it. So as said earlier, to comment multi lines, we use triple quotations. So multi-line comments appear in more than one line. So as the name suggests, right? There will be multiple lines. All the lines to be commented are to be prefixed by a hashtag when it is a single line. You can also do multi-line comments by using triple quotes. Okay. All you need to do you can hold the control key and left click. So in every place wherever you want to include a hashtag, that is also we can do. But along with this, we can use triple quotes for multi-line functioning. Okay, so how do you comment multiple lines in Python? Either we can use control key and left click so that we comment line by line with hashtag, or we can use triple quotations, right? So your next question is, so how will you convert a string to all lowercase? Yes. How will you convert a string to all lowercase? So we use the function lower. Okay. We use the function lower to convert the string to lowercase. Okay. So we have a string and the requirement is we have to convert the string to lowercase. So what we are doing? We are using lower function, okay, to convert the string to lowercase, right? So we have used earlier capitalize function for convert for, okay. So we have used before capitalize function method to capitalize the first letter of a string. So here we have a another function lower that converts a string to lowercase. Okay. So we have operators, right? We have different types of operators in Python. Okay, so what is the purpose of is, not, and in operators in Python? Yes. So yes. So what is the purpose of is, not, and in operators? So these operators are special functions. Okay. So these operators are special functions. They take one or more values and produce a corresponding result. Okay. So let us see what are these different operators we have. So we have is and not and in. So these are the three different operators we have. So what is operator does is it returns true when two operands are true, right? So true and false. What are the data types? Boolean value, right? So in case of not, it returns the inverse of Boolean value. Okay. What happens in case of in operator? It checks if some element is present in some sequence or not. Okay. So these are the simple cases. So here you can see an example where A, we have used an operator is A. So it returns true when two operands are true. Yeah, A is A. So it is true, right? So in that way. Okay, so we have seen what is the purpose of the three operators, right? Is not in. So your next question is, so your next question is, what is a dictionary in Python? What is a dictionary in Python? So any answers? What is a dictionary? So first answer is, dictionary is a data type, right? Dictionary is a data type. And it has key value pairs, right? So dictionary is the built-in data type in Python, and it defines one-to-one relationship between key and value pair, right? So we have, so it is assigned between curly braces, and we have key and value pair, right? So dictionaries contain pair of keys and their corresponding values. Okay. And dictionaries are indexed by keys. Keys will not change, but values will change. Right? So, what is a dictionary in Python? So, dictionary is a built-in data type. It's a data type. Right? So, how it will be? It defines one-to-one relationship. Yes. So, it is the relationship between keys and values. Like we can say we have a name, and so the value will be the name, right? So something like that. So we have a function known as length. So we have a function length. What does length do? Right? What does length do? What does length function do? So we use length function to determine the length of a string or list or array, etc. So we use, if we give length, and we can determine the length. Okay, so we use length function to determine the length of a string, a list, or an array. So Your next question is, what are Python packages? What are Python packages? Any answers? So, Python packages are nothing but the namespaces containing multiple modules. Right? Like our libraries. So, what are the different built-in types we have in Python? What are the different built-in types we have in Python? Any answers? Yes. So we have different built-in types in Python. We have integers. Integers are nothing but numerical values. It takes negative, 0, and positive values. We have floating point values. We have complex numbers. We have strings. We have Boolean values, and we have built-in functions also. Okay. So what are the different built-in types in Python? We have integers, floating point values, complex numbers, strings, Boolean values, and built-in functions. Okay. So I think we have covered some questions today related to Python. And yeah, I can see that we have received few answers also. Yeah, that's great. So please participate in the interview preparation sessions regularly. And yeah, so thank you. So this will be the end of the session, and let us meet tomorrow with a new topic. Thank you.